My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, welcome back. Today, zooming in from beautiful Tennessee, we've got a very interesting guest, Cody Bundura, who for years worked with Michael Blank's organization. If you're not familiar with Michael, he is a very big name in the multifamily investing and education space. He's been doing that for years. He shows lots of people how to do multifamily real estate deals, how to underwrite them, how to raise capital for them, all that kind of great stuff. And Cody was very involved in that organization for a number of years and worked with hundreds of Michael's clients and students, helping them to become successful real estate investors. And a year or so ago, Cody and his partner decided to jump right in and get started on their own, starting their own real estate investing and syndication company. So Cody, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Of course. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me. And thank you for the intro. Yeah, that is a good summary of what where
What
I'm
you've been
coming
up to.
from for sure.
Well, I've done this once or twice before. So anyhow, Cody, it's great to have you. And what I want to kind of dig into here today, like we were chatting about off camera, is what you've seen, the biggest differences being between the students that you have worked with who have succeeded and the other ones who haven't, and what kind of takeaways you've taken from that, and then how that's come to play or not to play in your own real estate investing. So let's take a look. If you think back with all the people that you've worked with over the years, what are some of the things that you noticed that the successful people did that the other ones didn't?
Honestly, so all those mindset gurus are not wrong when they say, just dig in and start doing it. Stop thinking
Just
about
do
it and
it.
do it,
Nike.
right?
Yeah.
Um, that's some of the biggest successes I've seen are the ones that just get out there and do it, even when they're coming from such a different background or their IQ wasn't the highest. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, they were still a success. Was mainly just because they believed it, that they were going to do it, and they pushed through and said, "I'm going to do it no matter what and make it happen." Right?
So they
Um,
they followed the instructions and did what they were told to do consistently.
Man, yeah, I mean, that's why we go through mentorships, right? Is because you're following somebody's advice that's done it, been there, done it before you, and is still doing it, right? So,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, end of the day, I know it sounds corny, but it really is the truth is, push through and do what the ones before you have done, right?
Yeah.
And those are the ones I've seen had the most success. Yes, there's some bumps along the way, but you just push into it. And yeah, so often I give advice and people will turn around and do the opposite or not do it at all and call in the next time and just say, yeah, well, I was gonna do it or whatever, right? But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's the ones who said, all right, and clicked the buttons and made the calls and did the different things even when they were uncomfortable.
You know what kind of stuck out for me there was you said it would not even necessarily like the smartest tax or the sharpest tax in the box, as long as they just followed the instructions and followed through. That seems to be the biggest thing. Reminds me of a story my brother told me years ago. He used to be a financial planner, and he was a really smart kind of guy, too smart for his own good. And a new guy started, and the guy was just like dumb as a stump. He was not sharp at all, looked like a goofball, the whole bit. And the sales training back then, 30 some years ago, was, hey, here's the white pages, the phone book. Start at A and start calling, and call between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Cold call, like the worst thing
Sounds
the
like my
gross.
advice that I got for insurance when I started
Exactly.
that.
But so my brother resisted that, never did that, tried tricky things with trade shows and this and that and da da da. But this not so smart guy just consistently did that, followed the instructions, and within a a few months, 6 months, had surpassed my brother who'd been there for a few years, surpassed almost everybody else in there, even though he wasn't very bright, had zero personality. He just ground it through and followed the instructions. Not that I'm
Yeah, that would be
recommending
an
cold calling using the phone book to anybody, but I'm just illustrating Cody's point there about just following the instructions.
it. Yeah, no, that would be a perfect summary of that. And funny enough to say is I might fall into your brother's category of being too smart for my and feeling like I was doing and living vicariously through others, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
So what happened there when you decided to start your own real estate investing business? What did you discover, and what did you discover about yourself?
well, what's funny is we tell people right off the bat, just start to network and build those relationships and just get out there and get the word out there,
Yeah.
right? And I'd been doing this for like 2.5, 2 years before I had started my own company with it, and I hardly ever talked about I hardly ever talked about the fact that I was going to be doing it myself, right?
Yeah.
Even though I knew I was, and I in my circles I did, but outside of my immediate work network, I hardly ever talked about it, and that was a huge mistake. And it's funny because tell everybody in the world, not just tell everybody that just keep be that person, right? And keep networking through that lens, and come time to do my own thing and building my own business, and we had a deal on the table that we could raise for, and end of the day I went out there and started talking to everyone I knew, and they're they're all in shock that this was something that they
The,
could get into, right?
and that you're
Syndication,
actually doing this,
you
and they've
know.
never heard about it before, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they knew that's what I did, but they had no idea that they had an in, right? And
Uh-huh.
so nobody wakes up saying, I mean, I want to spend $50,000 today, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least most people working a W-2 don't, right?
Yeah.
So that was just a rough go of it first time around. And so end of the day, I invested as an LP in that deal, and it was all good. And I knew the people I was going to be doing the deal with anyways, and so I really liked them and believed in it, just like you should in any of your deals that you're going to raise for, right?
Hmm.
And so I invested in it, and that was my first deal, and that was 118 units. But again, it's an investment as an LP, not as my deal
As a
as
GP.
a general partner, right?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah. So the takeaway was, you know, I was I was teaching everybody else how to do it, but not taking my own advice, right? And so.
Hey, you're not the
Uh,
only one, brother. I think a lot of us have done that. I've done that myself as well. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting one for
And
sure.
it's almost
But
like
we're
you
we're getting
think,
better. We're
yeah,
on the other
well, it's
side
almost
again.
like because you're around it so much, you kind of almost think that just through osmosis, it's going to naturally manifest itself in your life. But no, if you don't get the word out. So what do you do differently now, Cody? What have you learned from that experience, and how have you applied that to moving ahead yourself with your own real estate investing business?
So really, just educating my
Your
my
sphere?
peers, educating the people around me, right? Not of course, other investors or other people who are going to be in this game syndicating, they're not who's raising the money for me, right? They're raising
Mhm.
the money for the deal for themselves. So I don't need to be educating them. I need to be educating the people that
Uh-huh.
are going to be the W-2 people that can invest, the business owners that don't have the time but they can invest. Uh, uh, I need to be educating and building that network, right? Building that trust there, because they again, nobody wants to just spend $50,000 or $100,000 on an investment that they don't know who they're putting in the investment in with,
Right.
right? My name
Right.
is not JP Morgan or
Hmm.
whatever, right? So a little bit different of an investment. So you really have to know and build that know, like, and trust. Um, and
That
so
brings
that's
up
what
a
we're
really
we're
interesting
just.
point, Cody, because yeah, I've worked with lots of capital raisers and real estate investors over the years, and that's one of the big crutches a lot of people have. They say, well, you know what? I'm part of this great community, online community or coaching community or mastermind community, and there's we can raise capital through that community and say yeah for sure. However, there tends to be a lot of competition in that community because everybody's trying to raise capital. In fact, I remember one fellow, he was so ticked off because he had a really good potential investor and he made the mistake of taking that person into his online community or something like that. And it was like chum in the water. And as soon as
Mm.
people got word that, hey, there's a new one there, poof, all these other capital raisers pounced on his buddy. And the buddy ended up investing with somebody else and not with the guy. So yeah, it can work, but it's very competitive. It's very incestuous. It's just everybody's trying to do the same thing. Where
Yeah,
you're
you only make that mistake once.
Yeah. So I think it's really smart what you're doing. Now you're looking for, you know, kind of fresh fields, so to speak, that haven't been harvested by other people. So what do you find works well for you, Cody, for connecting with these kind of outside communities?
So for me, I still have a pretty good pool or connection with my previous jobs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I previously for like 13 years, 50, oh, actually probably a little bit more, but for like 13 years, I was actually in high-end luxury sales.
Oh, yeah,
And
perfect.
for high-end fashion and design, that type of stuff, right? So
Yeah,
there's a lot of money being made there and not a lot of time. And so that's the perfect candidate, right? For somebody
yeah,
that you want to invest is somebody who has a lot of money and doesn't have a lot of time to spend it all. They want to know where else can they put it. And so those that's my avatar. Those are people I connect with and I have long lasting relationships with. So it's very easy for me to go talk to them and say, hey, we this is what's going on. Next time I have one, I'll let you know, right? So that's really one of my biggest avatars.
mm,
Um, but you really kind of have to figure out who your niche is as an individual. But that one is definitely mine. My business partner, he owned a gym for a long time, and
mm.
he finds a lot of camaraderie with other gym owners, but they don't tend to have a lot of extra income. But
No,
he does.
yeah,
But because of that, though, the entrepreneur side of him, right? To own a gym, you have to be that entrepreneur. So
right.
he does connect well with business owners, and that's a big piece of his group or his
Very,
avatar that he
yeah.
connects with well. So.
So what do you find works best for you for breaking the ice, reconnecting with some of these contacts that you haven't seen for 5, 10 years, and starting the conversation without it sounding too salesy, like you're
It
only
It
connecting so
is
you
it
can
is
get
hard
money.
not to sound too salesy for sure.
Well, you come from
One
a
thing that
sales
helps
background
is
too.
the holidays. We're just getting out of
Okay, yeah,
we're just getting into the new year now, right?
yeah,
So the holidays, it's not too weird to outreach to people and say how's it going, been forever, that sort of thing. Um, Keeping tabs on their social media and their stuff anytime anything big comes up and you haven't talked to that person in forever, then great, that's a perfect time to congratulate them and work your way back in, right? Um, but really, end of the day, know that you're not trying to sell to them. At the end of the day,
mm,
this is an opportunity, and if you think of it that way as an opportunity, and if you know that when you were in that position way back when, you wish you had this avenue, then you don't need to sell to them. You don't need to
right,
to feel that way about it, and yeah, I don't, right? At the end of the day, I go in there. How are you doing? It's been a long time, and I'm genuinely interested, and I genuinely
yeah,
feel that way. That like, hey, it's been forever. What's
yeah.
up? What's new? And if through talking, they have been doing great and hitting all these bonuses and commissions and all these other things, then at that point, like, hey, what are you doing with that? That's an easier conversation to have at that point.
Okay, I was going to ask you what kind of transitioning you have from warm and fuzzy reconnecting to starting to talk business. So you're looking for some sort of clue of new or continuing financial success, and then you're just asking them, what are you doing with that? What are you doing with that extra money? What do you?
Yeah, and one of for me specifically for the avatar that I'm talking about, they switch jobs every 3 to 5 years is very
So these do
common
these tend to
because you're in
be
hend commission sales,
okay? They're
and you
salespeople. Yeah,
start to churn those
yeah,
fairly regularly. And so when they get to a new job, that old job most likely has an old 401k because a lot of those companies have matching 401k plans and all this stuff. And so they're matching, it makes money, it makes you more money to invest because they're going to match. So but when you leave, that is all new, fresh money that's ready to move again because now that 401k is no longer with the current employer, right? So,
right.
um, something, again, one more avenue when you see that flag come up that hey, we got a new job. Congratulations, that's awesome. What'd you do there? Awesome, cool, blah blah blah. Oh, old 401k? Yeah, right.
Nice. Well, let me ask you this then, Cody, because a lot of people say find a good deal and then pitch it to people. Find a good deal, the money will find you. Whoever said that first, I'd like to smack upside the head. But anyhow, that's one philosophy. Another one is try to get your investors lined up first, or at least at the same time that you're looking at deals, so that you're not scrambling last minute. What are your thoughts about that? Are you trying to get people lined up and looking for deals at the same time, or how does that look for you guys?
So personally, I have, because of my background, I have a lot of access to a lot of different deals and a lot of vetted operators that I know, like, and trust
Yeah.
that I've been working with for the last 3 years, right? So that side, the deals is not hard for me. So definitely the money side, but also real estate is cyclical. There's times where finding the deal is the really hard part, and where that
Mhm.
might be more true because people might have more money to be able to spend because whatever. But not the last few years. The last few
Yeah.
years, it really has been the money. That's been the hard part, and um, yeah,
Yeah.
I would argue that always having the money, is going to be the hard part because if you if you do have the money, um, you can get some creative deals going a lot easier, you know.
This is something that I'd really love your perspective on, Cody, because you have a very interesting background. You come from a lot of years, a lot of experience in sales and luxury sales. Then you worked for several years in the trenches with apartment syndication training and coaching. So you understand that intimately, and how, like, all the details and how to teach people that. Now, when you're talking to your old sales guy buddies, for lack of a better term, who don't have the faintest clue about apartment syndications, how do you concisely explain that to them without overwhelming them with all of that knowledge and data that you got in that big brain? How do you dumb it down? Not that you guys are dumb, but you know what I mean. How do you
No, I
simplify
do know
it
what you mean. Yeah, somebody from
to
outside this
this
this this
world?
realm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, well, a lot of people, so a lot of people do end up doing the single, trying to buy a single property or single door and
Yeah.
trying to rent it out or do whatever, right? And luckily, I know a lot of those people in those spheres that have that one
So
that
they're
one
a
property,
landlord
and
for a
it's a
single
pain in the
family house.
ass, and
Yeah.
and everyone else around them knows, but they also know that when it is good, it's good too, right?
Yeah.
When they do pay it off, and because hopefully
It's an
the
asset.
renter is paying your mortgage, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I just tell them, like, at the end of the day, we're compounding that times 100, right? And we get to have professionals run the property, and because we are compounding it and making it bigger, now there is this cool thing that if I had 10 units, it costs me the same. The footprint is probably the same as if I had a 50 unit, right? Because now on 50 units, I'm just building higher, most likely, right? And so to mow the lawn on a 10 unit is pretty much the same cost as mowing the lawn on a 50 unit. So it's called economies of scale. We get to start arguing these better prices for these services that make the units and the apartments better than some smaller deal, and less hair to pull out and more security. If I have one tenant leave, what do I care? I have a 99 more to pay the bills, right? So um
So
That's
you
how I
you circle
explain it.
back, you
And
relate to
also, there's
something they've
more
already
people
done.
looking out for you, and there's more
Yeah.
money in it from different investors, right?
Yeah.
So that end of the day, that's kind of how I explain it. We have professionals taking care of it, so you don't have to.
Well, I like that. You're also relating it to an experience they've probably had or they can relate to. Everybody knows somebody that owns one single family home and is a reluctant landlord type thing. So you can relate it to what they understand and just explain the whole compounding thing, which people can typically understand as well, and explain economies of scale. So yeah, I like that. I like how you do that. Now you typically do this in over a phone conversation, a Zoom call, a coffee meeting. Do you walk people through like a bit of a presentation, or you just kind of verbally do it?
Well, I mean, I used to live in California for 30 something years, and that's where I did my sales. So I'm not flying out to California every time I want to talk to somebody. So definitely it's more of a phone call, it starts with a text chain or LinkedIn or
DM or whatever. Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram chain, right? Going back and forth. Oh, that's cool. Whatever. Hey, I wouldn't mind getting on a call with you, right? And then we jump into more of the like Zoom meetings or something like that, especially if I want to show them a sample of what we would be looking at as we get deeper into it. Um, but again, it's really just starting out slow, rebuilding that relationship
Before you
before we
go.
go there, right?
Yeah.
Because inevitably, if it's a good relationship, they should ask what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? And so that's your perfect window into saying, well, I'm actually doing real estate. I'm in syndication, multifamily syndication. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what it is. And you kind of leave it at that for a second, and you go back to them, and then you come back around as time progresses. And if they had some interest, then we just keep moving, right? We
All those years of
build on top.
sales have come in handy for you.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So Cody, what do you got on the docket and the plans for 2025? What are your goals? Where do you see things going?
So yeah, my business partner and I, we do have a handful of investors kind of ready to go, and they're expecting something this year from us. So that's we're building a few more into our books. We have a few more that we're talking to as far as investors. We're always open building more, but yeah, this year we are definitely going to be doing some deals, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I would imagine. Fantastic, Cody. If people want to connect with you and find out more, where should they go? What should they do?
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so LinkedIn, I have my website, but really LinkedIn is one of the easiest places to connect with me. You just LinkedIn and search Cody Bundura, and you should be able to find me
The
fairly simply. So,
the Cody Bundura that lives in beautiful, is it Christiana, Tennessee? Is that correct? Is that where
yeah,
you live?
yeah.
There you
So
go.
just Murfreesboro is really the big metro of where I live. It's about 45 minutes south of Nashville.
Perfect. Awesome, Cody. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, and I wish you all the very best with your real estate investing business.
All right. Thank you, Dave, and good luck with the next episodes.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.